All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in NorCal Sports Network. We welcome you to the show. And tough one tonight, I should say late this afternoon, as and into the early evening as the Giants blow a golden opportunity. 2-0 lead in the bottom of the ninth. Randy Walker. And we're going to get into Randy Walker quite a bit on this show because Randy Walker has blown many games and many games for Justin Verlander. But before we get into this show tonight, guys, let us thank the sponsor, Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Make sure you give Chapman Law Group a call, 415-613-9483. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. And as always, if you got that personal injury situation, don't settle with no insurance carrier before contacting Chapman Law Group. Okay, not a happy camper day for the Giants. They a golden opportunity to gain a game on the New York Mets. They trail the Mets by 5. They could have moved it to 4. And I'm talking what the real numbers are, not the fake number that says they're 4 back and would have been 3 back. They have to beat them in the tiebreaker. So they are still 5 back. Now there's only 20 games left, Lou. So you lose a game and a game you should have won. Verlander probably pitched, I would say, maybe his best outing of the season when you talk about efficiency.
Yeah, I completely agree. But, you guys got to remember, Ryan Walker was like this the first half of the season. He was up and down, up and down. The thing is, he hasn't pitched in 3 days. When you only have really one closer, because of Rodriguez, done for the year and maybe next year too, you didn't really have a choice. But you could tell he didn't have it after probably the second or third batter. Melvin put all his chips in and he came back and backfired, because it's not too often where your stopper doesn't get anybody out. Not one person got out. It was a steamrolled, and before you knew it, boom, it was over.
The same thing happened to the Dodgers today. Yamamoto was 1 out away from a no-hitter leading 3-0 in the bottom of the ninth in Baltimore. Jackson Holliday hits a 2-out home run for the first hit and run of the game, and they take him out, obviously, because he'd already had over 115 pitches. And it was like, well, he gave up a hit, no sense leaving him in. And the bullpen comes in and blows it, doesn't get an out, and they get walked off 4-3. So the Dodgers end up losing a game, and that's big time because where is my –
San Diego did win. So
yeah, San Diego beat the Rockies, and we'll pull up the standings a little later for you. But now the Padres are only a game back, but they're 2 back because the Dodgers hold that tiebreaker. Yeah. But that was a big loss today, huge loss for the Giants. And before we get too much into this Giants game and going forward and talking about the closer situation, I want to point out to you guys some videos that we've done here in the last couple days. As you can see, Giants red hot there. That's right there on the NorCal Sports Network page on YouTube. Make sure you check those videos out. They're pretty short videos. One's 17 minutes we did today about the Giants being red hot. The day before, the Gilbert, I believe that video is maybe 10 minutes long, something like that, 10 minutes. Can't remember exactly. But go check those videos out, and if you would, give it a like. It puts it out more to other people. So right there on the NorCal Sports Network page, Giants red hot and Gilbert time. So we do appreciate that.
Dan, you didn't just curse the Giants, did you? You did a video before the game ended about how hot they are, and then they wound up losing. And watch them lose tomorrow. I'm just gonna, I'll remember that.
Blame it on Dallas. Blame it on Dallas. He was in the video.
All right. Just wanted to bring it up.
Oh man,
Knows,
I don't have the heart to put on the Cardinals hat tonight. I've been wearing the Giants hat for over a week and a half, and
Dan, I think tonight might really be 2 nails in the coffin. Yeah, that's how big of a loss it was.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they're going against the Cardinals' best pitcher. It's going to be almost, I saw somebody in the chat earlier. I'm sorry, I forgot who it was, but tomorrow's almost a must win because, you're going to come back and you're going to have a stale in your mouth saying, shit, we could have won 6 straight. We'd won 10 out of 12, all this good stuff. Then you come back and you're going to play a very hungry Arizona team that, traded 2 of their best guys, but they're playing hot baseball. And, you had a golden chance, especially, you keep bringing it up. Tonight was such a big loss. It's an opportunity where you could have gained a game and then one less game of the season. It could be one of those where we look back and said, God, I wish we would have or we could have. So I'm just, a little bit worried. I think it was that big of a loss. And we'll see how they come back tomorrow.
Yeah, I think, Lou, one of the things we got to look at, the Giants have been red hot, playing really great baseball, but they beat up on a pretty rough Baltimore team at home, 1, 2, or 3, then went to Colorado, took the series, sweeping them, who's, just the worst team in baseball. And then you come in and St. Louis is scuffling and you give them an opening. And now you got the Diamondbacks coming up, like you said, Monday at home, but the Diamondbacks are only a half game behind the Giants. They're 72-71. The Giants are 72-70. And why that is important and why I bring that up is these games are not going to be pushovers. The Diamondbacks aren't going to lay down maybe like the Rockies or someone like Baltimore who's not really playing for much. I mean, all these guys are trying. I'm not saying these teams aren't trying, but a lot of these teams are playing their younger guys because they're playing them for next year. And, they want to go out and they want to play well. They want to earn jobs for the future. And they also want to upset other teams, but it's different. When you're playing for something versus not playing for anything, you're just running out the string, you don't have that same intensity. And the Giants are going to start facing teams with the same intensity because the Diamondbacks believe that they can still maybe catch the Mets or possibly the Padres. But if you look at the Mets schedule,
10-game road trip this is that they're on.
Yeah, let's just pull up the Mets remaining schedule here. Here it is. They won today, or lost today, said the Mets 6-3. Tomorrow, as you can see, they got the Reds again. But then they go to Philadelphia for 4. They're kind of their arch rival, right? One of them and the Braves. Yep. So they got and then they come home to play the Rangers, and the Rangers are a half game behind Seattle for a wild card berth. And then they got the Padres who are trying to not only catch the Dodgers, but they want to secure a spot. So you got the Padres. I think what you really want there, if you're a Giants fan, whether you pulling for the Padres or the Mets, I think you want to sweep. I think you want to sweep from one of those teams. One way, yeah. Because 2-1, doesn't do much.
Yeah. And you got to remember they're playing right now. The Mets is they're playing the Reds. So if the Reds win tomorrow and you don't win, the Reds now picked up 2 games on you. They're right behind us. So it's, it's one of those things.
But I think the Giants had the best shot of catching the Mets, to be honest with you, because look at this schedule. This is killer. 1 more with the Reds, 4 with the Phillies, 3 with the Rangers, 3 with the Padres, and then they go on the road to finish. They finish their homestand with 3 with the Nationals, and then it's 3 with the Cubs and 3 with the Marlins. So I see potentially in there, if I'm just being kind of with the Mets pitching staff, I could see him losing tomorrow. I could see him losing at least 2 to the Phillies, maybe 3, but let's say 2. I could see him losing 2 to the Rangers, 2, 4, 5, losing a couple to the Padres, 7, losing 1 to the Nationals, 8, losing a couple to the Cubs, 10, and 1 or 2 to. Hey, look, I think there's 10 losses right now in there for the Mets. That means the Giants can only lose 5 more games. If the Mets lose 10, the Giants have to go 15-5.
Well, put up the Giants schedule. 7 against the Dodgers. 6 against the Arizona.
Diamondbacks. Yeah,
and it's I know the Dodgers are losing, but they're on a big long streak too. When they play the Giants at home, it'll be tough, and then when they come here, it'll be tough. It's not like the Dodgers suck right now. And we talked about earlier how who had a worse loss. The Dodgers can afford a loss like this. The Giants can't. Dodgers are in the playoffs. The Giants aren't. So, the Dodgers. Hey, it's one of those things. The Dodgers. Tough L, but that's on the road, but it's a big difference, when you're playing at Baltimore and you're playing at the Cardinals. It's one of those things. The Giants need to beat teams they have to beat. And, it's going to be tough. Arizona, the Cardinals, really all we have left is really Colorado, which is sort of a walkover.
Right.
Yeah.
This was tough. And I want to go, while you cover this, I want to look at the Giants schedule here and go back to April 14th. No, hold on here. Where's these games here?
The April 20th against the Angels.
Yeah, it's April. I got it right here. I'm looking at the schedule here. April 20th. Yeah,
yep,
against the Angels.
The
Giants led 4-2, I believe, going into the 9th. 4-1 or 4-2. Yeah. Walker lost the game. That was a win for Verlander.
Yeah, it was 4-1. 4-1.
Okay, it was 4-1. Walker blew that one, and then I'm going here up and down against the Minnesota Twins. Walker took the loss. Another walk off,
and it was only a third of an inning.
San Francisco. That was at San Francisco. That game. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at Walker here as I scroll down the schedule.
Yeah, very rough first half.
Yeah, they lost a game to the Padres 1-0 on June 2nd. Walker took the loss there. There seems to be so many other ones that I recall. I know there's 2 or 3. This is at least the 3rd game that Verlander had in the bag in the win column, and Walker blew the save for him.
Yeah, he blew another one against the White Sox too.
Yeah. So I don't think Justin Verlander will be sending out any Christmas cards this year to Ryan Walker. Ryan Walker. And this is something the Giants are going to have to work on in the offseason. They do not have a closer. They got rid of Duvall. Walker's not the answer. Rodriguez, in hindsight, the Giants, I think the Giants made a mistake by not trading Randy Rodriguez at the trade deadline this year, because they should have known, of all people, that they know he's not available for back-to-back games quite often, and he needs more time to recover. So why would you keep a guy around like that when you could have got the biggest haul you would ever get for him because he was an all-star? They ended up waiting, thinking, well, and then they put him in the closer role, and wouldn't you know it, he's not available to pitch back-to-back games, and when he does, he's gone for the season. So I think that is a mistake. I always remember, Lou, Ned Colletti saying, you got to know your personnel. You got to know your personnel. You got to know if your personnel has it for the long haul, and you have to know what they're capable of. You got to know their psyche, their mental psyche, all of that. And the Giants should have known that Randy Rodriguez is not a closer. They had to have known that. And they forced it. They forced it.
Well, if you remember, the Yankees were inquiring about him, and the Giants probably didn't take the call because the Yankees wanted Rodriguez, because he's young. They needed an arm. And, the Giants probably thought we deserve better for a guy that, had all that. But, that's the one thing about Buster. He's learning, and, our GM, but, it's a mistake that they can look in the offseason saying, yes, we probably should have. But now that he's hurt and he's going to be gone all next season, where we need a starting pitcher, obviously. And to tell you the truth, I think Verlander's pitched great, but I don't want him as a third or a fourth. I don't want him for $15 million. We got to get in. We probably need 2 starters, but now we also need a closer. So that could affect who we get as a starter, in the offseason. It's one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, Dallas makes a point here that they were babying him, and if they traded him, wouldn't have been on the up and up. Well, yeah, that's true, but maybe that's something that, comes up in the trade discussions. I don't know. Now you got Rodriguez not available till the 27 season. If there is one, he may not pitch till 2028. And I don't know. What do you do for the rest of the season with this team? You got 20 games left. Do you put Walker back out there again in a closing situation, or do you go with Peguero? Do you go with
I didn't like the Melvin move because Peguero only pitched to one batter today. He got him out, and then, he pitched Walker in. But Dan, I think it's a great point. I don't know what to do because really you have Walker, but as we always talk, it's a big difference pitching the 8th and pitching the final 3 outs. Has Peguero ever done that? Has he ever been the closer, or has he always been more of a 7th, 8th inning type of guy?
Yeah, and I think what you have to look at when you consider guys that, you mentioned the 8th and the 9th inning, the difference, you look at a Ryan Helsley, for example, who was the closer for the Cardinals for years. And actually Budo was the one that came in and pitched today, not Peguero. Budo pitched a third of an inning today, but you have to consider Ryan Helsley got traded to the Mets, and they had Elias Diaz as their closer, and Ryan Helsley has not been able to get anybody out in the 8th inning. He has just been awful, and you wonder if some guys just don't know. They just don't know how to really. If they're a closer, that's all they really know how to do. And if they're not a closer, they can't pitch in the 9th. They can pitch great in the 8th, but they can't pitch in the 9th. I think the Giants are going to have to look at possibly making a trade in the offseason or going out and signing somebody as a free agent. In fact, we should just look at the free agents, how they look next year. And I'm curious what's there in the relieving pitcher. Okay, here's one for you guys. What happens if Edwin Diaz opts out as the closer in New York? Do you go after Edwin Diaz. Here's the list, guys, right here. Relief pitchers. Devin Williams, who's struggling like crazy. Ryan Helsley, who's struggling like crazy. Raisel Iglesias, the Braves closer, has been doing pretty good. Robert Suarez, the Padres closer, he's probably going to opt out. He's had a hell of a year. How about the Giants go kill two birds with one stone? You hurt your competitor that you're fighting against, and you make yourself better and make them worse. Robert Suarez, that's a guy. Kenley Jansen, he's still pitching. He's with the Angels, doing okay. That guy's got. He's
the best. He's the best relief pitcher of the year. He's the best this year. If you look at his stats, he has the best stats of anyone. No, he's been solid.
So I think the Giants are going to have to go free agent hunting there. Whether you go Helsley, Iglesias, or Suarez. Devin Williams has been awful, but you know what? Before that, Devin Williams was dynamite. Is it possible that New York, some guys just can't handle the pressure, and they just, they're afraid of making a mistake and getting booed? And what do you think?
The problem is it's just not us that are looking for a closer. The Yankees are looking for a closer. Obviously, if Diaz leaves the Mets, they're looking for a closer. That's the one thing is all these free agents. It's just not the Giants that are competing. Right now the Dodgers don't really have a closer. So, you have probably 8 teams for probably 3 stud relievers. The thing is, what are the Giants going to do? Are they going to put the money up and get a reliever, or are they going to wait and go cheap? Because they have other needs too. That's, all I'm saying. They can always say, well, we still have Walker. Where these other teams, like if Diaz leaves the Mets, I don't know who their closer would be. So it's, one of those things.
Well, I'll say this. The Giants have to look, the odds are it's games like this that tell you that the Giants probably won't make the playoffs. It's fun and exciting to watch these games and that they're in it and they're competing. But for the Giants to make it, they can't lose games like this. They have to win these games. They blew a golden opportunity to gain a game on the Mets and the Dodgers. And imagine if they were 5 back with the Dodgers right now, and the Dodgers are floundering, and somehow you take the momentum of today's win, giving you 6 straight victories, and then you go into St. Louis tomorrow for a sweep with eyes of coming home. Now you're in a situation, as Lou said, you got to win tomorrow now. You got to just put this behind you and come out tomorrow, and you got to play much better baseball.
And you got Tang. Can he do it 2 games in a row against Sonny Gray? Who's got the advantage there?
Yeah. And then the Giants are going to need starting pitching next year too, guys. I don't know what, there's Zach Gallen, Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, Michael King I like, but he's got a mutual option, so the clubs can Verlander's on there. I don't like a whole lot once you get below on this list. Once you get to Jordan Montgomery, it's like, give me a break. I'm not interested in Montgomery, Bieber, Scherzer, Kershaw, Woodruff mutual option. So Zach Eflin, not that great. Kodai Senga, he just got sent to the minors. Ranger Suarez is a guy I like. That would be good. Ranger Suarez would be a good guy. And we'll get more into this, in the off season, but I do think that the Giants are going to have to make some, not just minor changes, but they're going to need 2 minimum of 2, if not 3 more starters like the Royals did, not in 25 season, but the 24 season that propelled them into the playoffs. Remember, they got Michael Wacha. They got driving me nuts. The guy I'm thinking of his name. Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, I got a question. With the Giants winning, 10 out of the last 12, are they going to do anything to the offense, or are they just because of this 2-week run, we're going to have the same team next year? Because if you remember, a month ago, we talked about we didn't want the same team. So
I still think you got to do something. You can't run it back and say Bailey's going to be fine. You got to make sure, is Gilbert and Matos the answer? We don't know. You really have to get some contact hitters in here. This is a hot streak. This happens in a course 162. Remember, we had this stat up and we haven't changed it for quite a while, but let's not forget when we were putting this up every night. Since 12-4 start, they're 47-58. Okay, so now they've won 72, right? So they've won 60. And what have they lost? 70? They're 72-70, right? Am I right there?
yeah, so they're still below 500, obviously, since then.
So since 12-4, they are 62 and 66. Yeah, so that's what the Giants are. So we have to remember, since they started 8 games over 500, they have won 62. Wait, 60. I take that back. It's 60. I got to change that because they've won 72 games, not 74. So they are 60 and 66. They were 8 games over. They're 6 games under in their last 126 games. And so they're 2 over for the season. You take that into consideration, guys. You can't just say, okay, this is a great team. The fact that for 126 games, their last 126 games, they're 6 games under 500.
With being hot as a pistol the last 2 weeks.
Right. So, and they have looked like the best team in baseball the last 2 weeks. They have been. But I remind you that the Oakland A's won 7 in a row last year I think they lost, or the year before, something like that, and they lost close to 100 games. And yet they were the best team in baseball during that stretch. So this happens, but I do like some of the pieces, Lou. I think with Devers we're seeing that Devers is the main piece that they have to build around. But I think they're going to need a stronger bat that is next to Devers, behind Devers, or wherever, because Adames, as hot as he's been, he was one of the top 10 worst players in the game the first half. He was just atrocious. Remember, you just threw anything up there and he was swinging at it and missing.
Yep.
And then, I'm looking at Casey the last week or so. He seems to be back to kind of chasing balls outside the strike zone again. He had that command, and it's almost like he's looking like he's getting too anxious at the plate, trying to do too much because the rest of the team's been hot and he wants to contribute. And now he seems like he's out there trying to, just crush it instead of just being patient and wait for his pitch. So, yeah, I don't know, Lou. I mean, right now, it's enjoyable to watch this kind of game, them playing baseball, but it's also something that if they fall a few games short, it's going to be disappointing in the sense that they end up somewhere around the 83, 84 win mark and end up with a draft pick around 18, 19 instead of in the top 10. And
it also shows they're playing good when really they thought they were out of it, no pressure.
Correct.
They have young guys. It's a big difference. It's not like, hey, guys, we're tied. We need this win no matter what. That's just how baseball is. That's why it's a marathon. I mean, you talked about Walker blowing 4 Verlander games. Imagine if the reverse. So instead of losses, he actually gets the saves. So instead of us having 72 wins, we have 76 right now. That's a big difference. And
yeah,
instead of us being 6 back, now we're maybe 2 back.
Well, we would be 76 and 76 if you just took those 4 games and not anything else.
76, 66.
And you know where that would put you in the standings? It would put you, the Mets, for example, are 76 and 66. You would be dead tied, and you would have probably what you would say is the advantage based on the schedule. You'd say, well, we have really 7 tough games with our arch rival. They have 4 with the Phillies, 3 with the Padres, 3 with the Cubs. That's 10 games. And they still got 1 with the Reds, 11. You'd have to say, didn't they have somebody else in there that was tough too? I think they had, besides the Cubs and the Padres, the Rangers. And they got 3 with the Rangers. Texas. They got 14 games that they're facing playoff potential teams. The Giants really have 13, 7. I mean, you can't really even say that if you took the Padres 3, the Cubs 3, that's 6, 4 with the Phillies, that's 10. And then you add the 3 with the
Cubs, that's 13. They have 13 tough ones.
What did I say? The Padres, Phillies, Cubs, Rangers. And Rangers. All 4 of those teams are within a game of the playoffs. The Giants only are facing the Dodgers that are close to the playoffs, that are really a playoff team. The Diamondbacks are a longer shot than the Giants currently. So if the Giants had just won those 4 games, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but man, and you can do every team can do this if you want to get technical. There's teams that other teams have blown games, but this is a team that the Giants really have to shore up that bullpen. You mentioned Kenley Jansen. I think he's only had 1 blown save all year.
Yeah, look at his stats. He's going to win the Fire Award or possible Cy Young. He's been unbelievable since the halfway mark. I think he's only given up like 1 run.
Yeah, Jansen's been.
I think his ERA is like .097 or something. Yeah.
Is it that low? I haven't looked
since the All-Star break. Yeah. Oh. The thing about the Diamondbacks, and this is something that we're not even talking about, if the Diamondbacks beat Boston again tomorrow and we lose to the Cardinals,
back and forth.
Yeah, we're the same record.
No, they'll be ahead of us. They'd have a half game ahead of us. They'd be a half game ahead.
And then come in here. That's why those games are going to be tough.
Yeah, Jansen is 37. He's
old.
He's old. The guy keeps going. I thought he was done a few years ago when he was.
And the
with
Dodgers wish
Braves.
they had him back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the Dodgers have blown so many games. Tanner Scott, their big free agent acquisition for their bullpen, has been awful. He has blown more saves almost than anybody in baseball. Robert Rothberg says the Giants lost too many games they should have won. Yeah, that is true, Robert. They were in a lot of games that they, I go back to that Dodger game, the last game of the first half when Matos hit the 2-out home run
in the ninth
to tie it. And then they had the chance to walk it off in the 10th couldn't bunt.
Couldn't get a bunt down. Yep.
Couldn't get the bunt down. Who was that? Was that Bailey? Who was that couldn't bunt?
Bailey couldn't get the bunt down.
Yeah, I mean, Giants win that game. Maybe the first half doesn't crumble, second half doesn't crumble like it. I mean, it's and that was off Tanner Scott too. Another blown save for Scott. Yamamoto was 1 out away from a no-hitter today. Jackson Holiday hits one that barely gets out of the ballpark, makes it 3-1. They pull Yamamoto and the bullpen implodes, and the Dodgers get walked off 4-3. So that's been exciting for sure. So we'll see where this thing ends up, but I'm just There's only one game going on right now, and that's the A's and the Angels.
A's winning again.
12-1 in LA, or Anaheim, I should say. 12-1. So, and tomorrow, JJ Guzman says, who's pitching? It's Kai-Wei Ting. Kai-Wei Ting against Sonny Gray. Robert says, I would not consider him until he got his control down. He walks too much. You can't walk guys as a closer. I've been thinking about this today. Who is a potential closer that's in the Giants organization right now that's big league ready? And I don't know, but they've got to find somebody. I'm done with Walker. He's too unreliable. He hits guys. He hits too many guys. 0-2 counts. It's like, how many guys has he hit this year?
I know of at least 5.
Yeah, in the closing situation, he's hit him.
Yeah. Hit him. 2 in 1 inning. Remember?
Yeah.
Hit 2 in 1 inning.
So I am done with Ryan Walker. And I don't even want to hear that the Giants are looking at Ryan Walker as their closer next year. And I don't want to hear that they're bringing Tyler Rogers back for the closer, because he's not a closer. He's a 7th, 8th inning guy, and that's where he specializes in. They've got to find somebody that has, Jansen might be the guy. I don't know. He's just a guy that has this demeanor about him. He doesn't get all worked up. He's got to have the slowest heart rate around. He just gets runners on base, doesn't care, doesn't get worked up, and he figures a way to get out of it. Dan, you watching the 49ers tomorrow from Arizona? Yes, I am. I will be watching the Niners tomorrow, 1:00. And we will have a live here, right here on NorCal Sports Network, sometime in the fourth quarter. So somewhere around the 3:30-ish time frame, we will be going live for a little bit for the rest of the game and into the little bit into the after the game, and we'll cover that 49er game tomorrow. The Giants losing tonight, Lou, makes me think, here they have this opportunity not only to win the game, but here's football season starts. They lose tomorrow, and then they come home and they face Arizona and the Dodgers, and they can't have a big homestand, but they play 500. Season's over, and everybody's now tuning them out for football. A win today, now everybody's looking at the Giants going for 7 in a row tomorrow, excited about the possibility. And then you got the Niner game. So it's a tough loss because you need to keep the fans engaged here the last 20 games. 3 weeks to go in the season starting Monday. 3 weeks left. And you got a day off with each week. So, you figure 3 weeks, 21 days, you're talking 21 games. No, you got a day off, I believe, at 2 of the 3. So you got 19 games after tomorrow. And by the way, Lou, speaking of stretch, when they face the Dodgers Friday night,
no aces.
They do not get a day off until Thursday the 25th. So they go.
And remember, Dodgers, no Webb. The 2 aces are going to be going in the Arizona series.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it works out because Webb pitched Friday, right? Against the Cardinals.
Yeah,
did he pitch Friday? No. That was Seymour. He pitched. When did Webb pitch? Oh, Webb pitches Monday night. Okay. Webb pitches Monday. Ray pitches Tuesday. So Webb is going to go Saturday, and Ray will go Sunday. They'll be on 4 days rest because.
So it has the Dodgers series: Verlander, Tang, and Webb.
I would imagine they changed that because of the day off Thursday. Webb goes Monday, right? Against Arizona. So he could take Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, pitch Saturday. Ray pitches Tuesday. He could take Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday off and pitch Sunday. And then you can line them up again the next week in LA.
Yeah, because the 4-game series in LA.
If Melvin has got his thinking cap on, he will want Ray and Webb to pitch twice against the Dodgers.
That's the problem right there. He doesn't have his thinking cap on because he probably doesn't think that way, but that's, you got to get the wins when you can. Obviously they have here Tuesday, Ray against Gallen. Gallen's great at home. He's a little bit different on the road, but it all starts tomorrow. They're going to have to beat Sonny Gray, and it's not going to be easy. Gray at home's a pretty good pitcher. And,
Gray's either on or off. He can be like, if he's a strikeout pitcher, and that's a little bit troublesome because the Giants are a strikeout swinging team.
The Dodgers are pitching Glasnow, Yamamoto, and Kershaw. That's their 3 on the weekend. So that's not going to be easy.
Wow.
That's what it has on the the ESPN schedule of who it is. So,
yeah, I kind of like that. How about Johnny Cesari coming in the 8th for the hold, and Lou Marston is the closer? There we go.
I don't want to work under Melvin. I've never liked him. He doesn't know how to work the bullpen. If it's Bochy, that's one thing, but no. But Dan, I think tomorrow it's a huge game, and we're going to have to hope, can Tang go 2 in a row? Last game he was outstanding. He had the rough first inning, he had I think it was the rough 3rd inning, but he got out of it. But, let's see tomorrow. Plus, you don't know how much momentum the win for St. Louis today did. They were dead and they win in the 9th. Is it going to fold over to tomorrow? You're
True.
saying right now, they have their ace. We have, someone who's decent, who pitched great, but can you make it 2 in a row? Tomorrow, travel day, last game of the road trip. Are the Giants want to get home after that? I think the key thing about this whole entire Giants victories is they've gotten the lead and they've added on. I can't remember the last game where the Giants actually were losing early, and that's the difference. So,
yeah, look at Arizona. Giants are 8-2 in their last 10. So are the Diamondbacks. And then you've got St. Louis, who's been doing okay, 6-4, but they're only a game and a half behind the Giants. They win tomorrow. They're 72-72. Giants are 72-71. So, everybody sees that the Mets schedule. All these teams are aware of the Mets schedule, and they're aware that the Mets starting pitching is atrocious. They've had to call up 2 youngsters from their AAA just to take over their rotation. And those are the 2 guys that they're most excited about when those 2 guys pitch. And that's Tong and McLean. So the Mets starting pitching has just been abysmal. And the Mets, with their type of starting pitching, with 20 games remaining, that's a team that could lose 14, 15 games just because of their pitching and their schedule. You got to remember, the Mets have to win with their bats. That's how they win. They do not win 2-1 games. The Mets, rarely. If you look at their the Mets, and I'm just gonna pull that up myself. I'm kind of curious. Game by game results here. If we look at the Mets and just that's not good. They're not giving me the same.
Hey, Dan, why are you doing that? Instant. I don't know where you read that. Whoever did that, whoever said that, Tong can't even hold Timmy's jock. Okay, I've heard nobody that has said Tong has been compared to Timmy, the freak. Now, Timmy's a pitcher that nobody will ever be compared to. Tong is a guy that we're not even sure. He's a definition of a 4A pitcher. When he throws his wiffle ball and it gets over, either he gets pounded or he gets by. If you go 2 starts back, the guy pitched 2/3 of it, 2 2/3 inning, gave up like 8 runs. So I'm not sure where you read that he's being compared to Timmy. Have you heard that?
He actually has been compared to his delivery, and he's same almost identical delivery because he modeled himself after Timmy, and he does have some pretty wicked stuff. He is
Why would you compare him to a giant great? This guy hasn't deserved to be that. All right. I haven't heard that at all. A windup is one thing, but pitches and Timmy had a sinker that was beyond belief. This guy isn't compare, but okay.
Yeah. I want to show you guys something. Why I think the Mets are vulnerable. Look at their schedule here, August 2nd. They beat the Giants 12-6. Then they lost 12-4. And was that August? Okay. Cleveland, they gave up 7. There's a couple of low-scoring games, 3-2, 4-1, 3-2, but then they 7-4, 7-6. They 13-5 they won, 11-6 they lost, 4-3, 11-9, 3-1, 7-3, 8-1, 12-7. Look at the runs they're giving up a lot. 5 runs, 4-7 they lost, 19 they won. They lost 11-8, 10-8, 12-5. This team is constantly in high-scoring games.
Dan, the one thing is
awful.
Yeah, Dan, the one thing is I think they're 10-2 this year against Philly. So they have Philly's number.
Wow.
And that has sort of saved them.
Well, what happens
But
if
no,
the
I
Phillies-
agree. But you're bringing up a great point. But the Giants can't lose to someone like tomorrow, or it doesn't
Right.
matter what the Mets do.
Right. That's the whole thing. When
Yeah.
the Mets were in a free fall and losing, the Mets
Giants were doing
won
the same thing.
3 games. They came to Oracle and swept them. They went down to San Diego. They got swept. They went home. They got swept. The Mets went on this funk the same time the Giants went into that funk, and they never really gained any ground on the Mets. And then they started winning, and the Mets started winning. So hopefully the Mets will end up imploding with their pitching, and they end up losing out of the 20 games. I think if they went like 7-13, that means the Giants would have to go what? 5 games better, like 7-13. The Giants would have to go
13-7.
13-7, basically. Yeah. For the 6th game. Well, they're only 5 back. So if the Mets went like 7-13, the Giants would have to go 12-8.
You got to remember.
No, I take that back. 4. They'd have to go 12-8 doesn't work. 13-7. I guess that's how it would work. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing is they have Washington at home. We have Colorado at home. So really those basically balance each other out. So instead of 20 games, really you can say 17 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, the Mets basically, the magic number for the Mets is 16. Any combination of 16 wins and losses for the Mets and Giants, the Giants are eliminated because they're 4 back, but if they tie, that does them no good. So it's 16 and they clinch. And
the Padres hold the tiebreaker over us too, just in case the Padres fall.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, guys, it's been a busy Saturday. Lots of college football out there. You guys seen this Cal quarterback out there, the lefty from Hawaii? He looks good. I mean, they didn't play anybody today, but they put up the performance they kind of need to. Cal won 35, I think, to 3. This is the type of team that they've toyed around with in the past and won 35-28. I was watching Troy beat Clemson 16-0, and then Clemson came back and Troy turned it over like 3 times and gave Clemson the game. But
well, first of all, Texas Southern, are they even Division I?
Did they pull off an upset today that I didn't
No, that's
hear
who
about?
Cal played.
Texas
Southern.
Yeah.
So
Texas
and
Southern,
then Oregon State this year, they're not good at all. But next weekend will be a big game. Minnesota's good this year. They come off a bowl victory last year.
Is that at Cal? Is that at Cal?
That is at Cal. Yeah, next Saturday night. It's on ESPN.
Yeah.
And then if they can get past Minnesota, San Diego State this year is not good. Boston College is not good. Duke's decent. North Carolina's not that good. Virginia Tech's not that good. They sort of have a backloaded schedule.
Oh, yeah. The Bears, I was talking to my brother, they seem to never do it, but it's a team that could get off to a 6 or 7-0 start.
Yeah.
Based on their schedule, but they just got to take it one game at a time. And hopefully they'll be a little bit more aggressive with this quarterback, and Justin Wilcox will, they lost a lot of their key players. They lost their running back, Jaden Ott. They lost a few other guys, but they did shore up the offensive line. That's why Francisco Mendoza's dad actually wanted him to leave because Cal's offensive line was so good, and he didn't think they could fix it. And I get it. He didn't want his son to get creamed and ruin his pro career. So Skywalker Destroyer says, just go 16-4 and you'll be fine. Yeah, no problem. Just go 16-4. That's easy. The Giants have pulled off some pretty wild Septembers. How about the 21 St. Louis Cardinals, guys? They were dead. And they won 17 in a row to get into the playoffs. 17 in a row. So it can be done. Giants have 20 left. I mean, you just got to take them one at a time. The problem is the Giants actually can stay in almost every game if they can hit decently because their pitching is held up. But, to play 8 solid innings, they only made one mistake today, and it didn't hurt them. That was Devers' error at first base. Some people might say the Chapman base running at third was a mistake, but I don't.
That was a mistake, but that was still early. Yeah, it was just a little momentum.
I don't
breaker.
Consider it really a mistake because the ball, as soon as he saw it went past the catcher, he broke, which is you're supposed to do, and then it just bounced right back to the catcher. You have to. He sees it gets past the catcher. Your instincts say go. You wouldn't think it's going to bounce right back. And I was actually commenting on Chapman's base running. I thought it was really good that, he took second on the throw to third base. On the chopper, he hit up the middle. The center fielder threw it to Victor Scott, tried to get, I think it was Lee at third base, didn't have a chance. Chapman took second. He tagged up, and then he scored again. And then, his double, he goes diving in, then he takes third. I thought, it's one of the things I like about Chapman is, obviously his defense is great, but his base running is really good. He's a really heads-up baseball player. And, I like that about him. And, he seems to be in a groove right now with hitting. But, is it too little too late? That's what we've been talking about for quite a while. The odds are it is too little too late, and that they're probably going to tease the Giants fans, and wouldn't shock me if they even caught the Mets but tied them and ended up in a tie and lose out on the tiebreaker. Wouldn't shock me a bit. If they get to 86 wins and the Mets are 76 and Giants have to go 15-5 to get to 14-6, sorry. 14-6. They're 72-70. Giants go 14-6, Mets go 10-10, dead tie. You heard it here. NorCal Sports Network. 86 wins, Mets win with 86, Giants lose out on the tiebreaker. I don't know why I sense something like that happening, but it would just be par for the course. Then the Giants would say, see, we are a playoff team. We made the playoffs. We don't have to do anything different. This club's, we've already got a built-in playoff team. We just need to have Devers for the whole season, and we're on our way. And the Giants come back with virtually the same team next year and don't make any changes at catcher. And you watch, the catcher next year is going to be Bailey and Jesus. I think it's, Gonzalez or whatever I think that's his name, the guy they got in the trade with the Yankees as the backup catcher. He's a 300 hitter wherever he's been. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the team they go with next year, especially if they finish strong. So, Lou, let's pick our players of the game and give us your final thought, and we'll get out of here. Who's your players of the game today? 3 guys.
I will say, because it sort of shocked me that Lee actually let off. I think it was the first time in like 6 weeks that he let off. So I thought Lee did nice today, going 2 for 4. So he's my number 3. Mr. Usual, Dominic Smith was my number 2 star.
Right.
Another 2 hits. And I think I'm going to give it to Mr. Energized. No, I'm going to give it to Verlander, my number 1 star.
Okay.
He kept us in there. He pitched great. I thought the key thing about Verlander today is I was a little skeptic since last start, and I told Dallas, and if I was wrong, I'd admit it. He pitched 127 pitches in 5 innings to make sure he got the win last one.
Yeah.
Right. And he came back 6 innings, only 88 pitches, 0 walks. Was the best part of his performance, 0 walks. So, he should have got the W, but, and then, speaking of Verlander, Dan, I mean, if you were Verlander, would you want to come back to the Giants next year?
He might. He just might. It's a pitcher's friendly park.
But is the team pitcher friendly? I mean, you recommended that they've had 4 blown saves there, a couple of other ones.
He may say, "I'm coming back if Ryan Walker's not on the team."
And there's no. Yeah, I'm just saying, because right now Verlander, he wants wins, and he's thinking about getting to the magic number. You know what I mean? So
depends on Kate.
I agree.
All right, my players of the game, I am going to go with number 3. I am going to take, how about Joey LaCasey? I'll go with your guy. Joey LaCasey, 1 2/3 innings pitched, 1 strikeout, didn't give up a hit, solid performance. Joey LaCasey, number 2. I'll go Matt Chapman, or Joey LaCasey, number 3. Matt Chapman, number 2, 2 for 3. Solid defense. Too bad he didn't get that last hit. It looked like he almost caught it. I think. Do you think he thought he caught that, or was he trying to decoy the runner?
Decoy.
On second? Okay.
I thought it was a decoy.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have worked if it hadn't bounced off the side wall and kind of made it so obvious that he could have walked home. That would be number 2. And number 1, you got to give it to Verlander. I can't disagree with you there. I mean, maybe his best outing as a Giant. 6 innings, no walks, as you mentioned, 88 pitches. Just an excellent performance. When the team needed it, he comes through. And Ryan Walker is our player where we give Ryan Walker the big.
Got nobody. They still in the inning, couldn't get anybody.
Ryan Walker. Thank you very much, Ryan. What else could we give Ryan Walker? Can we laugh him out of the building? Or do we give him the circus? All right. We got a new award on the NorCal Sports Network. We are giving the player of the game. We give out the players of the game, and we give out the what do they call them? It's interesting because don't they call the GOAT the greatest, and then isn't there also the guy that's the terrible guy, the GOAT of the game too? Or what do they call? What's that one they call him? Help me out, chat. What? Yes, Beto, you got it right. We've got a new award, and it's called the Giovanni Award. Ryan Walker gets our very first Giovanni Award. And so Ryan Walker, You are the Giovanni winner. There we go. So glad that Giovanni could be can be a permanent part of the show. Every guy that screws up gets a Giovanni award, and that goes to Ryan Walker tonight.
Well, Dan, the good news about Walker is he only pitched 16 pitches, so he's good for tomorrow.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. So there we got it. We got the players of the game and the dog of the game. The Giovanni Award goes to Ryan Walker. There you go. That's all for Giovanni. So, guys, we thank you for.
And then what's your prediction? The chat wants to know. A couple guys asked for the Niners tomorrow.
Oh, that's good. I'm going to be doing a video on that shortly. I'm still mixed, guys. A lot of it depends on if CMC plays the whole game.
I don't think he's even going to play. It's going to be just like last year, another excuse. I think this team's in for a long season.
He said he's feeling great, and he's not, but I'll say this. If CMC plays and he's effectively playing, where I mean he's not just in there as some decoy, but he's running the ball, catching the ball, the 49ers win a close one. If CMC is not himself and he's not a factor in this game, I think the Seahawks win by 5 or more. That's where I'm going to put my hinge. I'm putting my right there because I think CMC means that so much to this team. I think he's got to be a difference maker because if he's healthy, he can control the ground game and, get the 49ers a lead, which that's how they win when they're ahead. They're not the greatest come from behind teams. So they get an early lead and then you force Darnold to throw the ball. Then you got some possible INTs and then, there you have it. But we'll see. I think Niners win if CMC is healthy enough to be himself that looks like he's part of the game plan like he was in 23. If not, taking the Seahawks. What do you got, Lou? You taking the Seahawks?
That was a great prediction. So this way, tomorrow, you're going to win either way. That's a good prediction, Dan.
But it's all based on CMC. If CMC plays,
I think the Niners, I think tomorrow is going to be an ugly game. I think this whole first probably 4 games are going to be ugly. I think the Niners, if they don't win tomorrow, they'll be lucky to be 500. I think the big problem with the Niners right now is they haven't improved themselves since last year. We've had more injuries during the preseason. You have a guy that just signed the biggest contract ever for a quarterback. We still don't even know who the wide receivers are. We have a problem where Jennings had a problem. The last couple of years, the biggest problem with the Niners getting off to fast starts have been holdouts.
Right.
I think I'm pissed off at Jennings. Why do the Niners do this shit every year? The guy just signed last year. I think the problem, too, is everyone thinks Seattle is nothing. There's no more 12th man. All these people on the beat writers, Seattle's easy to go to. No, it's still the first game of the season, and it's a road game. I think it's going to be ugly, so I'm going to predict 17-14, somehow Seattle, and it's on a bad turnover by the Niners.
All right, there we go. Lou has chimed in, and I guess I'm taking the easy way out. I'm covering,
right.
I'm covering
both ways.
I'm just thinking if McCaffrey, look, I'll say this. If McCaffrey doesn't suit up and doesn't play, it's Seattle's game.
And I don't understand how yesterday he wasn't playing, but now all of a sudden today he's going to be going for tomorrow. I mean, it doesn't change in 24 hours.
Yeah, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
To me, that's just an excuse, and that's a problem.
Something's not smelling right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he's held out on Friday, but in the locker room he says he feels great, and it's blown out of proportion. So we'll see.
All right, we'll see. That's why they play the games.
That's why they play it. All right, guys. All right, guys. Thank you for joining NorCal Sports Network. Make sure you do smash that like button on the way out or on the way in while you're still here. Just hit that little X and on your phone and smash that like button. We do appreciate it. The likes do help us out, and we love it when you help us out. Thanks for being here. Giants, again, take it on the chin. Tomorrow, opening day for the Niners in Seattle. Tune in right here in the fourth quarter, right around 3:30, 3:30-ish, 3:40, between that 10-minute time frame. We'll be going live right here, NorCal Sports Network. We'll be watching the game with you and talking about it, and then we'll carry it on into a post game. And then I'll head on over to Larry Kruger's channel, and we will have the Larry Kruger show with the gang for Niners postgame. We may even probably simulcast it right here on NorCal Sports Network. So thanks for being here. Giants play an early game tomorrow, right? What time? 11?
Let's see. Tomorrow's game is
11:15. 11:15. All right, so we will not be doing a post game until tomorrow night, the hot corner, guys. There will be no Giants anything until 8:30 tomorrow night, right after Sunday Night Football. Remember, we got Sunday Night Football now that starts at, I believe, 5:15, 5:20.
great matchup.
Right,
Baltimore at Buffalo.
Oh, that is an awesome game. Awesome game. Who did I take in that game? I think I took Buffalo. I had to do all these picks. My survivor pick, Denver for tomorrow.
All right.
Easiest game on the schedule that I saw. So, all right, Mark Graves, we'll see you tomorrow right here in Coach Emilio headquarters. See you tomorrow, Mark. We watch the Niners together. We'll see you guys sometime tomorrow in the fourth quarter, everybody. Have a great Saturday night. Take care.